Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist, and today I'm going to be doing a Buster Blader deck profile. So this is a deck that you guys have been requesting I do an update of, and I actually have some really interesting cards from Dual Power that I've been able to throw into this deck, and made it really interesting. So let's get straight on this, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell down there so you can become part of the notification squad, and let's get straight on into this. So this deck is actually really interesting. It's essentially Dragon Slayer, the deck, if you guys have never played Buster Blader. But basically, you just want to summon out your Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, and your Buster Dragon as well, just to be able to get a lock on your opponent where monster effects cannot be activated, and you can just kind of stop your opponent from special summoning by equipping it with different Buster Blader Whelp cards. So it's really interesting, it's a really fun deck, and so let's get into it. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Buster Blader. Buster Blader is kind of like the essential card of the deck. You need at least 2, I like 3 personally. But it gains 500 attack for each dragon monster your opponent controls and in their graveyard, which can get really big fast. If they just have 1, he goes up to 31. Like, I mean, it's amazing. If they have like 4, he goes up to 46, and he just gets big for no reason. Then we play 1 copy of Buster Blader, the Destruction Swordmaster. I play 1 copy of this because I feel like it really helps to be able to have that additional, Buster Blader in your deck to be able to fuse with and send to the graveyard, and plus he counts as a destruction sword card, so it can be used for different abilities like that as well. Then I play 3 copies of Buster Whelp. It's essentially the searcher of the deck. When it's normal summoned, you get to add a destruction sword card from your deck to your hand, and then you can once per turn either tribute it to special summon a Buster Blader from your hand or grave, or if this card's in grave and you control Buster Blader, you can discard a Destruction Sword and then special summon it, which can really help out with your deck being able to just play this card multiple times, and it's a tuner as well, so it can really help out being able to synchro. Then we play 3 of the Dragon Buster, the Destruction Sword. This card is the one that I was talking about being able to stop your opponent from special summoning. You can target a Buster Blader you control and equip this card from your hand or your side of the field to the target. And while this card is equipped to a monster, your opponent cannot special summon monsters from their extra deck. So it just prevents your opponent from special summoning. And Buster Dragon, I believe, is the one that lets you put additional Buster Bladers, equip them with the destruction swords, which is really nice. This is the only destruction sword I play. You can play the wizard sword or the robo sword. I don't like the robo sword, but the wizard sword's okay, but I just didn't really need it in this build, so I kind of didn't play it. Then I'm playing a small, well, not small, but an interesting Lair of Darkness engine. And the Lair of Darkness engine is 2 copies of Darkest Diabolos, Lord of the Lair. Darkest Diabolos really helps out because if you tribute a card, you get to special summon him instantly. And we play cards like Lith, Lady of Lament, that lets us be able to just summon all sorts of stuff, or be able to search all our traps. And the traps are the essential part of this deck, like your Prologue and Destruction Sword Memories and Destruction Sword Flash. I actually didn't realize how good Destruction Sword Flash was until I started watching around on YouTube, and I was like, wow, that card just tears it up. And I started playing around with it at 2, and I was like, wow, that card's really good. So then we play 3 copies of Arima. Arima is kind of another one of the searchers, you just discard this from your hand to add a Lair of Darkness, or you can tribute a dark monster you control to draw a card, or if you tributed a dark monster other than this card to activate this effect, you can add a dark monster with 2,000 or more defense from your deck to your hand, which is usually going to be our Darkest Diabolos all the time, every time. Then we play 3 copies of Lith, Lady of the Mint, probably the best card in the deck. I almost dropped the Lair of Darkness engine out of here because I just didn't feel like it was doing exactly what I wanted it to do, but it really does help when you build it like this. I added some more consistency cards to the deck since last time, and added some cards from Dual Power to the extra deck to make it even better. So Lith, Lady of the Mint is definitely a 3 of in the deck. If this card is normal summon, its attack becomes 1,000. And then you can tribute a dark monster, and reveal 3 traps from your deck, and your opponent randomly chooses one, set the one they chose on the field, and shuffle the rest back in the deck. So usually your targets are going to be your either Destruction Sword, like any of these right here are your targets. We only play the Prologue now, Memories, and Destruction Sword Flash. It just depends on the situation, what you don't have and what you feel like you need. You search any of these 3, which I think is interesting that Buster Blader focuses around traps. That's kind of cool, to be honest with you. I kind of like that. And then for the last couple of monsters, we're going to play 3 copies of Jester Comfy. So the reason I play this is because he helps us go into some link summons, because that was a problem with this deck when it first, like, when Master Rule 4 happened. This deck really had some problems with link summoning. Plus, this makes Where Art Thou really live. You can only control one Jester Comfy, and you can special summon this card from your hand in attack position. And if it's summoned this way during your opponent's next end phase, target a card on your opponent's control and return both that target and this target to the hand. We don't really use that effect. Usually the only effect that we're using is to special summon it from our hand, to have a level 1 on the field, to be able to trigger Where Art Thou, and then normal summon like Buster Whelp, get the search off, and then link them together for a link 2 that has 2 downward pointing arrows to be able to have a Destruction Sword, the Buster Blader Fusion, and the Buster Dragon on the field at the same time, which can just OTK your opponents so fast. Then for the final card that I play in the deck, and for the monsters, and that's 1 copy of Glow Up Bulb. Glow Up Bulb helps out with synchros a lot, and so I play 1 copy of Glow Up Bulb just to be able to synchro up into Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. Because Archfiend Abyss really helps out. Like, if your Buster Dragon's going to leave the field because of one of the effects of your trap cards, then you can just synchro it away and summon a Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss to be able to negate 1 card your opponent controls, which is nice. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So we only play a couple of spells in this deck. It's more trap focused than anything. So we're going to be playing 1 copy of Foolish Burial. You just need 1 copy of Foolish Burial to send like Glow Up Bulb and the Buster Dragon Destruction Sword to the graveyard. Or depending on what you need, you can just send whatever you need to the graveyard to be able to continue your plays. Or Darkest Day of Alos if you know you're about to tribute something so you can special summon it. 1 copy of Destruction Sword Fusion. We just play 1 copy of it because it's not as good of an option as the trap cards to be able to use to fusion summon. I use it in rare instances, but I don't use it all the time. So it's kind of there to expedite things if I need to fusion summon quickly. We play 3 copies of Where Art Thou. Where Art Thou is, if you control a level 1 monster, you get to add a level 1 monster from your deck to your hand. That's why Jester Comfy comes in so handy, is because you just special summon into your side of the field. And then after you special summon into your side of the field, you can just instantly search out Buster Whelp, normal summon the Buster Whelp, search a Destruction Sword card, set it if it was one of the traps, link summon into like Alistair or Lan, whichever one you need, and then go off from there. Then I play 3 copies of Lair of Darkness. Lair of Darkness really helps out in the deck. I like 3. Some people play 2. I think 3 is the optimal number. All face-up monsters become dark, and then once per turn, if you tribute a monster, you can tribute your opponent's monster for the activation cost. And then during the end phase, you can special summon as many tokens as the cards were tributed for the turn player. Like, if I tribute cards on my opponent's turn, then my opponent gets tokens. If I tribute cards on my turn, I get tokens, which is kind of cool, and I really like that effect. And that's it for the spells. We don't play that many spells. We only play 8 spells in the whole deck. We play more traps than spells. So for the traps, we're going to play 2 copies of Trap Trick. I feel like 2 is the optimal number. I don't feel like I need 3 with Lith, because I already have the ability to be able to, like, synchro, and not synchro, but like search my pieces to synchro and all that sort of stuff. And all I really need is like 1 or 2. I need both the traps, but I'm going to draw 1 normally because there's 6 of them that I need in the deck, and I can just kind of flip this and get the one that I don't have. So that's why I play 2 copies instead of 3. And then you play 2 copies of Destruction Sword Flash. This card is absolutely crazy. If you control a fusion monster that lists Buster Blader as materials, banish all monsters your opponent controls, and when a card or effect is activated that targets a Buster Blader monsters you control, you can banish this card from your grave and negate the effect, and if you do, destroy it. So it just protects your Buster Blader and banishes all monsters your opponent controls, which can essentially let you OTK your opponent. The only thing that you have to keep in mind is that if you activate this and you have, like, for instance, Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, he cannot attack directly, which kind of sucks. So you got to keep in mind that. Then I play 3 copies of Destruction Sword Memories. Destruction Sword Memories is amazing. You get to you discard a Destruction Sword card to special summon a Buster Blader monster from your deck. Then you can banish this card from your grave to fusion summon a Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, from your extra deck by banishing fusion materials listed in your grave, which combos very well with Prologue. Because Prologue's effect is you get to send a Buster Blader, or Destruction Sword and Buster Blader from your deck to the graveyard, which can be the fusion materials for memories. And then you get to special summon a Buster Dragon from your extra deck, but destroyed during the next end phase. That's the thing that I was talking about, having Glow Up Bulb on the field to be able to synchro it away. Then you have the ability that If this card's in your graveyard and destruction control cards you control cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effect when you banish this card for the rest of the turn, which is pretty cool. And I really like this. It's just a really good card to help out you with your strategy. So these two are like the big search cards that you want to have either on the field or in the grave to be able to fusion summon or synchro summon with the greatest of ease. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get in the extra deck. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button and hit the bell so you guys can become part of the notification squad so you can see all my latest Yu-Gi-Oh deck profiles. So then we play only 2 copies of Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman. Basically it inflicts piercing damage and it gains 1,000 attack for each dragon monster all your opponent controls are in their grave. So if you're playing against a dragon deck, they pretty much summon this and then you win. Most dragon decks have an extremely bad matchup against Buster Blader, which is, I mean, pretty common, but this card just made it all that much better. And then it also has the ability that all dragon monsters are switched to defense position and their effects are negated. And if this card attacks a defense position monster, inflicts piercing damage, and just takes a dragon, or takes a Buster Blader, and then a dragon monster fusion summon into this. Then we play 3 copies of Buster Dragon. This card is essential for the deck to be able to just summon Buster Bladers for days. It's a generic level 8 that you just, all monsters your opponent controls become dragon, so that you can get both of them on the field. You can get Buster Blader, the Dragon Destroyer Swordsman, to really big stats. And then once per turn, if you do not control a Buster Blader, you can target a Buster Blader in your grave and special summon it. And then once per turn during your opponent's turn, you can target a Buster Blader, a monster you control, and equip it with a Destruction Sword monster from your graveyard. So you can just equip it with like the Destruction Sword, the level 1 Destruction Sword that can equip and negate from extra deck summons, which is nice. Then we play 1 copy of Hot Red Dragon Archfiend Abyss. I feel like Buster Blader gets triggered every time I summon this, and looks across the table at him and is like, I'm getting you next. But basically this card just negates monster effects, and it really helps out a lot to be able to negate like 1 card on your opponent's side of the field per turn, which is just nice. And he really helps out as well. Then I play a Beals. Beals is easy to summon in this deck because you just go Buster Blader plus any of the like level 1 dark tuners, and it's really easy to summon in this deck. And a lot of decks don't have an out to this, so I just play it as a 1-up to kind of stall my opponent if I need to. Borreload Savage Dragon. This card's, again, easy to make in this deck. Really easy to make in this deck to just be able to summon a Boral Savage. 1 copy of Flare Metal, because Flare Metal is, 2 Buster Bladers, make this, and then burn your opponent for 500 over and over again. Boral Sword, just OTKs. Unicorn bounces stuff. The Alistair, the Invoker of Madness, this is just basically a generic link. It's really easy to make because you just have to have 2 monsters with different types and attributes, which is super easy if you have Whelp and Jester Comfy, because it's a dragon and a spellcaster and a light and a dark. So you just overlay, or you link into this, and you have the arrows that you need to be able to go for what you need. So I just play it as a 1-of in here to give me the arrows. Same thing with land. Land is if you have 2 monsters that have the same attribute, you just make this. They're just 2 good options to be able to make. Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. This takes 2 dragon monsters to make, but it helps you with a little bit more disruption. Once per opponent's turn, its card, if it's in the extra monster zone, quick effect, you can tribute a monster from your hand or your field to return 1 face-up monster on your opponent's on the field to the hand. And if this card is tributed, you'd spell summon a dragon monster from your hand or deck, which is usually going to be our Darkest Diabolos, but make its attack and defense 0. That's fine. We're just going to use this link material anyways to be able to disrupt our opponent and tribute himself, because he can tribute himself as cost, which is nice, but it doesn't negate his effect. And then 1 copy of Linkribo, because we play a whole bunch of level 1s. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. It's a really, really fun deck. It's really easy to play, to be honest with you. It's interesting because you can do a lot of different things with Buster Blader. You can build a pure version. You can build a guard dragon version, which is interesting. I think it's sacrilegious because, like, you're going to play all those dragons in a Buster Blader deck. Like, really? But it's really funny to play all those dragons and look at your opponent and be like, yeah, he became one with them. So, yeah, guys. Anyways, guys, this is DarkArmedDuelist. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think of this deck profile down in the comments down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button on the center of your screen right there. And don't forget to hit the bell right down there so you can become part of the notification squad. And I'll see you guys in the next one. See you around, guys.